Hello, and thank you for joining us. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to the first ever Gospel Life Rally. My name is Mark Nicholson. I serve as the Executive Director of Passion Life Ministries, and I'm going to be your host and MC over the next couple of days for this great event. We have an incredible lineup of speakers who have prepared messages and resources that are there for your benefit. These are things that are going to equip you, encourage you, inspire you, edify you, and hopefully you're going to walk away feeling more competent and more confident to address the abortion crisis in your community, in your world, as a gospel issue. Let's jump right into introducing our first speaker. His name is Dr. Owen Strachan. Dr. Strachan serves as the Provost and Research Professor of Theology at Grace Bible Theological Seminary in Conway, Arkansas. He's going to start with Genesis chapter 1 right at the beginning with the Imago Dei and tell us how it is that the value of human life is inspired in the very first chapter of the Bible through this inspiring message. Let's listen to Dr. Owen Strachan.
Greetings, everybody, at the Gospel Life Rally. It's such a joy to be able to speak to you. My name is Owen Strachan, and I'm the Provost and Research Professor of Theology at Grace Bible Theological Seminary in Conway, Arkansas. I am so delighted to be able to speak to you about the topic, the doctrine of the image of God, and how our understanding of the Imago Dei, as it's called in Latin, re-enchants humanity, or at least begins to re-enchant our understanding of humanity. As we'll see, as I'll make clear, or try to, it's not ultimately the only doctrine we need to make sense of who the human person is and is called to be by God's grace, but it is an absolutely vital doctrine. Tragically, many Christians and many evangelicals don't think a lot about anthropology or the doctrine of man. This doctrine is sometimes in a systematic theology, for example, a very short section, as if this is basically kind of a take it or leave it doctrine. But if you don't get this doctrine right, and if you don't get the opening chapters of the Bible, of Genesis 1 through 3, Genesis 1 through 11 more broadly, right, if you don't understand this as the real historical account of a real historical Adam and a real historical fall that follows along with many other events, you will not rightly grasp the glory of God in man. You will loosely affirm probably that humanity is made by God, but you will not understand human origins, and if you do not understand human origins, you will not understand ideal human destiny. Protology, you see, first doctrine, drives eschatology, last things. You have to understand protology, the creation of the human person included in there, to understand eschatology, where all things are headed. In fact, you cannot understand, as we'll be talking about here, you cannot understand Christ, the second Adam, or the last Adam, if you do not understand the first Adam. Again, a real historical Adam. But that is all framing. Today, we don't just have debates over Genesis 1 through 11 or 1 through 3 or the historical Adam. We have those. They're back. They're live ammunition. We have debates outside of the church with people who tell us they know who the human person is. And they tell us we're getting the human person wrong as believers, as those who stand on the Word of God. And their ideas, their views, are tremendously consequential for the setup of our society and of the forces that bear down on the church. Let me just quickly give you a few senses that we get from people around us, from intellectuals, from skeptics, from thinkers, about who the human person is, from different voices in culture beyond the thinking class, so to speak. We hear commonly from those affiliated with the profession of science, for example, that mankind is nothing more than the product of evolution, that we are just evolved animals. And if you hold that view, if you hold that human origins are not in the will and mind of God, but are in primordial gases that happen